Hello, I'm Tan the Tan BOTC channel. I made a video back in the day talking about why can't superhero movies get things right, and I was thinking about that. There was a comment, not a very bright one in my opinion, that was saying, well, Batman v Superman such got these important comic book sequences, iconic comic book sequences right, but everybody has to hate on that movie. Uh, Rightfully so. I never liked the Nostalgia Critic Angry Joe review of Batman v Superman because their conclusion is it was okay. We liked it. Like it felt completely different from everything they were saying, as well as I freaking disagree hardcore. And I know that's just my personal opinion, but I think even looking from the outside in, you can still see why it just feels weird to come to a conclusion like that. That movie just freaking hurts to watch. Even the director's cut, it just adds more time to how painful that freaking movie is to sit down and watch. God. It's so stupid in how it's written. I do not care for the characters. The only parts that work is like Batman and Wonder Woman's chemistry between each other, even in some of the other movies. Uh, but everything else, like, I don't like a lot of the characters, especially Jesse Heisenberg as freaking Lex Luthor. He's like, he is turning into the freaking Joker. Doomsday looks ugly and probably should not be in this movie at all. It's like the second, technically, technically the second movie that Superman has been in, and it's just way too soon. Like, okay, so this is just a normal comic. This is before Doomsday starts coming in. So in the movie, we only get like a couple minutes with Doomsday, and it's a lame fight, honestly. And this spans through a quite a few comic books here before Superman actually does kick the bucket. And when it gets into the actual death of Superman, then it gets into the funeral of Superman, which could be its own movie on its own because I believe there are like 8 or so comic books that span this, and it's just ridiculous that they tried to squeeze things in just a couple minutes. It's terrible. It's really terrible. I'm trying to find some back like freaking. I'm also going to be buying new ones anyways, so that I have ones that are in good condition and ones that are readable condition. And then it goes into the reign of Superman, which I would have preferred over what we got. And that spans so many goddamn comic books as well. It just goes on and on for a really freaking long ass time. Let me see if I can pick this up. It's a lot easier if I freaking pick it up and show you. And I love the characters involved in this series. I actually read this pretty much this entire series for the channel a while back. I might try and reread it with the comic books now so that you have the visuals. So that is a plan in the future. I am planning for September to be Superman versus Batman month. This is one of my favorite covers. And then Superman finally like returning to his true self. He has longer hair and everything. But yeah, that's a long ass series, and they tried to squeeze it in to a couple minutes or so. I do not count the whole trying to resurrect using General Zod's, but which is so stupid. And then Lex Luthor's DNA or whatever frick that crap was. And then with this, they also tried to adapt the Superman fight from the Dark Knight Falls, which is in the Dark Knight Returns series. And that spans like 8 pages, the actual fight, where I feel like the movie version would have been the equivalent of only like 6 panels or so. Like, it was such a short and underwhelming fight with a stupid conclusion of the whole Martha, why'd you say that name? It's just so dumb. I mean, I like making fun of it. It is memeable, but that doesn't mean that's for a good reason. It still sucks ass. It's underwhelming and it gets overshadowed by other fights that come later. Not really the Doomsday fight, but I guess you could technically argue that one too. And it's not a very good fight in my opinion either. The only thing that's memorable from it is Wonder Woman cameo. That's basically it. Uh, but yeah, it's just such a freaking all over the place movie. It's long as freaking hell, but not exciting enough to freaking keep me wanting to watch more. I just cannot sit through that goddamn movie. I actually remember back in the day, I had a challenge with my friend Dave which movie was worse or could make us just like want to die inside watching. Like how long could we survive watching it for? And I did Revenge of the Fallen, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, but my friend Dave said, I will up you with Batman v Superman. And I was like, you win. I'm not watching that again. I would rather watch Revenge of the Fallen, and I hate that movie so much. It's like Revenge of the Fallen is really stupid also and has a lot of cringy jokes. It's at least I can at least say that it keeps me entertained longer for a longer amount of time, even if I despise the frick out of it. Where the Batman v Superman does not keep me entertained long enough. I'm freaking practically falling asleep during parts of it, so it's just hard to even stay awake. And then when it does get to the supposed good stuff, it's not all that good. Gets underwhelmed due to a warehouse scene that happens in it, which is the best fight in the movie, and probably really the only good thing other than Batman Wonder Woman's chemistry. Uh, there's just not much to it that I care about. I know this might come across as controversial. Hell, you can disagree with me all you want. But I feel like the Zack Snyder cut, if that came out when it was supposed to, I don't think it would have been as big a deal as it's made out to be now. Cause think about it, that version of the movie finally gets released years later after all these other DC movies happened and that you got to see plenty of their character development and such, how some of them even get sequel movies even though they're not very good, like Aquaman and Wonder Woman and such. And then we get that Zack Snyder cut. Now that feels kind of like the first Avengers or maybe even the second Avengers movie coming like right after a bunch of solo superhero movies. Don't mind the bird in the background. That's my roommate's bird. But yeah, I feel like it wouldn't have the same impact if it came out when it was supposed to compared to coming out at that time because it technically kind of feels like it has that build up even though you know it's not there's not gonna be any outcome to it or anything. You still have that kind of in the back of your mind after you've watched all the other superhero movies in that DCEU. Uh, and I just don't think it would have had the same impact if it came out back in the day. I really don't. And that's just my personal opinion on it. But I feel like it would be not only be too quick to jump it, like it feels real. Like when you think about it that way, it feels really rushed and just jumping to conclusions. I don't care if it's like 4 hours; it still feels somewhat rushed when you think about it coming out at that same point. Because think of this: you have the introduction to Superman with General Zod, all that crap. And then your second movie is already throwing two famous comic book series, The Dark Knight Returns, with the battle between Superman and Batman, which is something people have been highly anticipating. Also, that's another reason why that film frickin' feels so disappointing, is we've had years of just waiting for that, and this is what we get. God, is not worth the build up. I would rather see the Christopher Reeve versus Michael Keaton Batman Superman. I would rather see that. I actually have pictures of my two figures in kind of a Batman v Superman pose on my community section of this channel. And then you're cramming the Dark Knight Returns, sorry, not Rises, and the Death of Superman into one movie, the Doomsday stuff. And then the next movie, you're technically trying to cram in next uh, the stuff that's leading to Dark Side. It's not Dark Side yet, but it is definitely. It's kind of like you jumped from the Iron Man movie to Civil War as your second movie. Then you jumped to uh, I would say like what is the one that builds up to Thanos? I guess it would just be a freaking yeah, it would just build up to Infinity War. It would be the third movie because that's where or something. I'm trying to think like it would be Infinity War, wouldn't it? Because you got this other powerful being, that Steppenwolf, that works for the big bad. Uh, and technically, in a big half of the movie, other than when Thanos is going around collecting the stones, you do have Squidward and the other guy is going around trying to collect them for him too. And then it gets to Thanos getting all the stones. It kind of feels like it's that, but he doesn't quite get the mother boxes yet. And it's more so the next movie would be the equivalent of the actual like the later half of Infinity War. It kind of feels like that movie's the first half, and then the next movie would have to be a second half if they made another movie. And man, hearing about fans wanting to make an AI, using AI to make these movies come to life, just sounds like a bad idea. Sounds really cringe and terrible. There's already so many problems with AI that people are having, and just people are using AI for all the worst things and reasons. And it is kind of sad because it's giving like AI a bad reputation. But at the same time, it's understandable because look how people utilize it. They're utilizing it in really stupid ways. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, I just thought it jumped to so many freaking things way too quickly. With if James Gunn's does do that, I'll have a problem with that because I think James Gunn needs multiple movies to build up to something like Doomsday or uh, even freaking Dark Side. I think it needs multiple movies. You can use like Brainiac and Bizarro and such. I don't know, Parasite, something like that, and then have, of course, the other superhero movies. I actually didn't think Supergirl was that bad. I saw that movie and I wanted to talk about it, but I guess I didn't really have the time to. So I'll mention it here. I don't think that movie's as bad as everybody's letting on, but it's it's okay. It's one of those movies where it's just okay. The little girl in it is kind of forgettable and doesn't really need to be there, but I don't think she hurts the film. I actually really like the actress playing Supergirl now that I've watched her. At first, I was like, I don't like the frat girl kind of attitude and personality thing, but she does eventually develop into the Supergirl we would come to know, and she does feel like not a bad character. She's not a bad actress as well. And then the villain is, at first, the villain was intimidating, but then he just kind of felt sideline background noise. Lobo didn't have many scenes, but when he has a scene, he doesn't make it count. And we've been wanting to see Jason Momoa as Lobo, opposed to like when we got to see Dwayne Rock Johnson, because Dwayne the Rock Johnson was actually someone we wanted to see play Black Adam for the longest time. But when we finally got it, it was like, I don't think that movie's terrible either, but at the same time, it's like it's all over the place. He doesn't really feel like a supervillain, honestly, either. He feels like just a grumpy anti-hero or something in that, rather than a supervillain. I don't know. He just felt kind of underwhelming compared to what we thought we were going to get. But I guess that's also high expectations. But yeah, a lot of the expectations are warranted because the stuff we got, whether there were expectations behind them or not, they were still going to fall apart either way. But either way, that's just my opinions. You can have your opinions, whatever. I do not like that movie. I think it moves too slowly. I think it's boring at times. It's got way too many problems. It's just dumb as hell. And I also don't think it gets important superhero comic book moments right. So, uh, other than that, also, I'm going to add this because I know people are going to say, anyways. Uh, because people like to shove their opinions as well down your throat, but in a very uh, rude and attacking you type of like aggressive way. I don't know how to, just bullying. They use their freaking, they use the comments to bully and harass, and I do not approve of that crap. If you're going to use your opinion or your comments to bully and harass somebody, then you're not worth listening to. And I'll even remove or report your comments if you do that crap. That is not, that kind of stuff shouldn't exist, that kind of behavior. If you can't have a civil discussion without utilizing at the same time, even to bully and harass or name call and crap, then it's not worth it. You're not worth listening to. It's not worth taking your opinion into consideration. It's just not worth any of that. So frick off with that stuff, please. But nonetheless, I hope you have an awesome day. I will see you next time. And keep that in mind with a lot of. I shouldn't have to be a father figure and tell, like, your parent equivalent and tell you what not to do. You should just have the common sense to know that that's not right. That's not how you should be approaching things, even if it's who you are, who you were raised to be, or whatever. You just shouldn't, and you should know. In a lot of cases, people are not going to freaking listen to you, and shouldn't listen to you, because that is just not behavior we would want on this platform, or should have on this platform at all, if any. So that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. See ya. Transform and roll out. I am the night. I am vengeance. I am Batman. Bye, Jimmy's mom.